The lawsuit, filed this week, concerns election lies, conspiracy theories, and January 6th. A Trump supporter named Ray Epps is accusing former Fox star Tucker Carlson of repeatedly defaming him. Epps is accusing Carlson of knowingly lying when he pushed a, quote, fantastical narrative that Epps was, quote, an undercover FBI agent responsible for the violent mob. I'm going to play some of what Carlson said because it's central to this lawsuit. But again, there's no evidence for any of Carlson's claims.
Ray Epps is one of the only people caught on camera that day encouraging others to break the law. Did Ray Epps work or have any contact with any government agency?
A man called Ray Epps.
A mysterious figure called Ray Epps.
Now, to be clear, Epps did participate in January 6th, and this video circulated among right-wing groups that fanned the flames of this conspiracy. But there is no evidence that Epps breached the Capitol building, and there is no evidence that he instigated the attack, nor is there evidence that he was working with the government. The lawsuit also alleges that Fox News is to blame for Epps being at the Capitol in the first place. It argues that Epps was, quote, persuaded to go to the Capitol after hearing election lies broadcast on Fox. Sounds familiar. Epps and his wife say that this caused death threats, forcing them to move from their home. And some Republican lawmakers have also peddled Carlson's unfounded claims.
If you don't arrest Mr. Epps, there's a reason behind it. I believe you know what it is, and it appears to me you are protecting this guy.
On the 6th, it's not the Proud Boys who engage in the initial breach. It's Ray Epps.
Mr. Epps urged them to tear down the barricades. A lot of Americans are concerned that the federal government deliberately encouraged illegal and violent conduct on January 6th.
The new lawsuit turns up the legal heat on Fox, which is facing a season of accountability. The network has already settled two multi-million-dollar suits with Dominion and a former producer, and it is in the middle of $1 billion legal battle with Smartmatic. Joining me now to talk about the lawsuit is Michael Teeter, a lawyer for Ray Epps. And full disclosure, Mr. Teeter and I know each other from law school. So, Michael, big question for you. As long as I've known you, you've been associated with progressive causes. You've even worked for Democrats. And now here you are defending a Trump supporter who is also an election denier. Why is it so important to you that Ray Epps have his day in court?
It's great to be with you, Melissa, and great to see you again. The answer is simple. Ray Epps has been lied about time and time again by Fox News to the fact that he has now had his life destroyed. Truth matters, whether you're on the left, on your right, you're in the progressive circle, or you're conservative. Truth ought to matter. And Fox has prioritized their profits over facts, over truth, and over people's lives, and they should be held accountable for that.
So one thing that's really important here that distinguishes your lawsuit from the lawsuits filed by Smartmatic and Dominion is that Ray Epps is not a corporation. He is not a public figure. How does that critical difference factor into the legal standard for defamation that you will have to meet to be successful here in this lawsuit?
You're right. Because Ray is not a public figure, he has an easier standard than Smartmatic, than Dominion did. He only has to prove negligence on the part of Fox in spreading this pervasive lie about him, that they did not research or really look into the facts the way they should have. And that's the sufficient standard that we'll have to meet. It's much easier than a public figure would have to meet.
So it's a little easier on that front, but another major aspect of defamation is that you have to show that there's been reputational harm. Is it a concern that the reputational harm that's been done to Mr. Epps is perhaps with other individuals who are involved in January 6th? Is that going to play well if you get to a jury?
I don't think it's going to matter because actually, given that he's not a public figure, the damages are presumed. He doesn't have to demonstrate them, but he could because the consequences to his life have been significant. He's had to move. He's faced death threats. He's faced harassment. He lost his business. He lost his home. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in just economic damages, as well as tens of millions of dollars in emotional damages. And that doesn't even include punitive damages that we could be talking about.
So we do know that a few months ago, you issued a cease and desist letter to Fox News, to which they were unresponsive. Have they been more responsive since you filed this lawsuit? And if so, what are they saying?
We have not heard from them. All we know is that they did file an effort to remove the case to federal court. We don't know yet whether or not that's successful. Depends on the timing of service, and we're looking into that.
You've also argued in the lawsuit that Tucker Carlson, quote, made clear to his audience that he was not offering an opinion, but fact, bluntly telling his viewers that this was a fact, that Epps was a government informant. So let's watch that moment that you reference to give our audience some context.
I didn't want to suggest that someone was a federal agent or informant unless I knew for a fact, because you really could get someone in trouble, right? If you're like, this is the guy, and like, but we don't know. I do know it's very clear that something very strange is going on with Ray Epps. We've named him repeatedly. We've invited him on the show repeatedly. I mean, don't lie to my face.
So, Michael, how important is this evidence? Was this mere speculation, opinion, or was Tucker Carlson, in your view, actually reporting what he believed was fact and encouraging other people to view it as fact?
Let's start with a very straightforward answer, which is that it is a fact whether or not somebody is or is not a federal agent. You don't get to have an opinion of that. Whether or not you think somebody is, you're still presenting it as a fact, which Tucker did time and time again. He labeled him a federal agent. He repeatedly said that the January 6th committee was covering up for Epps, that they had been working for him, that the government had been lying, that he was a federal agent. And so he made it clear that he was speaking on a factual basis, not an opinion basis. But even the question itself is a factual question, not an opinion question.
One of the videos that Tucker Carlson has relied on in his coverage of this is a video that shows your client at the Capitol. And it shows him whispering to another January 6th rioter. And under oath, that rioter said that Epps told him to calm down. However, he's now since walked back his story. The New York Times said, quote, Carlson could point to other inconsistencies in the rioter's account. In recent weeks, he's abruptly changed his story, calling reporters from jail to say he lied to the FBI and that Epps actually, quote, told him to pull at the barricades. Is this kind of inconsistent testimony from a material witness going to be an issue for you as you pursue the lawsuit?
It just actually helps demonstrate the damage that Ray Epps has faced because of the lies. When Ryan Samsel had nothing to show for it other than to tell the FBI the truth, he told the FBI the truth, which was that Ray Epps whispered in his ear to calm down. That is consistent with all the other videos that we've seen of Ray walking the line, telling people to step back, telling police officers that we appreciate you, telling demonstrators that we don't want anyone to get hurt. We've made our point. Now we're just going to stand ground. And so Ray Epps stood there trying to de-escalate the situation. Ryan Samsel confirmed that to the FBI. And then only when Ray became a victim of this conspiracy theory and a target of the right wing, did Ryan Samsel decide to play into that as well and change his story. The question is, which one seems more believable?